Welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast. My name is Kat Corchado. I'm a fellow Air Force veteran who, after 20 years of active duty, struggled with transition after leaving service. The Sisters in Service podcast is a platform to include all women veterans, organizations, military spouses, and Blue Star, Gold Star families in talking about the trials and triumphs we face while in service and after service. I want to take a moment to thank all of you who have taken the time to listen and follow me on my journey. My podcast is every Tuesday, and I hope you will tune in. Until then, please be safe, take care of each other, and until next time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sisters in Service. I am your host, Kat Corchado, and today I have as my guest, Nichole Carzis. Now, she's one of those people that, you know, when you meet someone and you just hit it off amazingly right from the beginning. We could have seriously done this podcast at that point. Okay. She's just one of those people that you just engage with, and she's just amazing. So, Nichole, welcome to Sisters in Service.
Thank you so much for having me, Kat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was just, we could have talked for like hours. We could have just
Absolutely
gone back and forth.
That first conversation we had, I'm like, are you recording? Just now.
So, Nichole, give us a little background about your service. Yes, folks, she is a veteran. How long you served and what you did in the military?
I served 13 years in the Air Force, and I was in public affairs. I was at the 146 Airlift Wing. So I was fortunate enough just to stay at the same place. I loved it. You know what? I miss it. I do. Well, how about this? There's pieces I miss.
Right. So I always used to see people in public affairs, and they look like they just had this cush job. Was public affairs cush, or was it, were there parts of it where you're like, I hate this?
Well, I think everybody, if you have to deal with mostly brass, will probably echo that statement that you just made. Because there's things that you're like, this makes sense. And then someone else comes in, they're like, yeah, we're not doing this. You're like, I hate this.
I know.
So in that aspct,
because it's too much, as my mother would say, too much like right. It makes too much sense.
It makes too much sense. Don't make me be efficient. Not around here.
How dare you?
Yeah, it was a weird feeling to be like, oh, you want me to be inefficient? Oh, okay. I got it. But I will tell you that it wasn't a cush job so much as it was just something I knew I could utilize outside of military service. And so what I liked about it is that it supported what I had wanted to do and had been doing in a civilian sector, which was marketing. That's basically what you're doing is in public affairs, right? We're going to make things sound better than they actually are.
Right.
And we need to do it under duress. And so in that aspect, it was very challenging, but it was certainly not cushy. The thing I think that I liked about it is that I got to learn so much about what everybody else does too. Because you cover stories, press releases, incidents that you have to, respond to.
Right.
So from that aspect, it helped me, better my communication skills, both written and verbal, and really showed me how to be very confident and competent under that duress, right? If there's a camera in front, if there's press on base that I have to deal with, how to coach brass on what to say and what they can't say, crisis communication, stuff like that. So it was that sounds riveting, right? Don't I sound like it was so much fun? But you know what, it really was, because I got to hone in on that stuff and get very good at that. And I know a lot, especially in the day of social media. If you look at mine, it's not great at all, right? I'm still very limited on it. I'm used to being behind the camera, not in front of it.
Right.
And so with social media, I struggle with it still. I don't post a lot of me, but I repost things that people get of me speaking or doing something. I'm training, I'm working, doing something. I have no problem reposting that. But even like this, like as you told me, you were like, we're just audio. I was like, oh, thank you.
Although, guys, we could have totally gone video, and she looks amazing, but I agree with you. It's hard to be in the business and be on Instagram and you post things and then you're in business like, oh, well, they want to see your face. And you're like, really? Because I hate taking pictures. I'm that person that as soon as they click the shutter that I'm blinking or I'm doing something stupid with my mouth, and I'm the only one doing it, so it's horrible. So it sounds as though you picked public affairs to go into that was a smart move.
Yeah, it was. And those recruiters, boy, they're slick, aren't they?
Yes,
they make it sound so pretty. They tried to make some of the worst jobs sound sexy. And I was like, I am not falling for this.
Right. You're like, yeah.
Would you like a kicker or a bonus? I'm like, get out of here with that. That is not going to be worth it. But it just, for sure, I picked it. I wanted something, like I said, that I thought would translate to the outside. And for me, it was such a natural fit for me. I think, and one of the more unique things about me going in, I just want to be upfront with that. I had been somewhat successful in my civilian sector. And by that, I mean, was not that big of a deal, but at a pretty young age, I had already started making six figures. So when I joined the military, everybody's like, what in the hell are you doing? And I was like, I do not know. I am going through something right now. Give me a minute. But when you go through a divorce and you start questioning, what's really on your plate and what your responsibilities now shift into now that you're doing this on your own. And I still felt like I was coming up short in what I'll call my game of life, right? I'm like, I feel like there's more I could be doing, more I could be contributing. Is it always going to be about the dollar? Of course, I'm not so naive. I need to make money, and there's a quality of life I want to have.
Sure.
I live in Southern California. I have children. This is
yes.
I gotta get after
money is important in California.
Got to work, like that's okay. But I did want to do something that was, one, in contribution to others, and two, also gave me the opportunity to have something in my back pocket, like something I could always fall back on, if that makes sense. Right. In the civilian sector, especially if you're in a decent corporate, a decently sized company that's corporate, you go through things and changes, right? There's mergers, somebody else gets bought out, those things. And I would watch people get, their severance, right? They're like, okay, here's the bottom line. Here's the good news. Another company acquired us. You're like, wait a minute. I'm not excited yet. Do I still have a job? Because then I'll be
Here's
excited.
The bad news.
So you're like, wait a minute. I'm so sure this is such a good thing. So you start watching these mechanics behind, and you get a little frustrated. And I remember just watching Waves, and they were like, well, we're keeping you. And I'm like, well, what about the day you don't need to keep me though? And then what am I doing? So if I'm perfectly honest about joining the military, I was a little nervous that at some point I'd get caught up in something that was out of my control. And I wanted something I could fall back on, that I could immediately walk into if I needed to, right? That they'd be willing to take me in a second. And, as well as I do, the military certainly appreciates when you come on and you have more skills.
Yes.
You have more skills, right? And so you bring that, and it allows you. I loved coming, being able to be more efficient. I had a lot of different programs and apps that I knew how to work. I was more cutting edge at the time, like when I came on board. So it made me kind of valuable, which felt good. People are like, oh, let's get Carzis on it. I'd be like, yeah, that's me. Right. I was in demand. Everybody wanted
the fixer.
Work. That was
she
it.
Fixes things.
That was
so
it.
You do your time in the military, and then you get out. Was there a transition period for you? Good, bad, or indifferent? A lot of people I've talked to, their transition wasn't what they expected. You expect to get out, and the civilian sector recognizes, what you've done in the military, and they can't wait to get you on board. I always tell people that, I thought I was that first round draft pick, like in the, college sports. And, companies were going to be throwing money and contracts at me. And I walked out, and there was no music. There were no flags. There was nothing. And I fell right off the cliff. What was your transition like?
So I had an interesting transition because I went guard. And so I was able to do the, 1 week a month, 2 weeks a year, deploy as necessary. But as you know, that is, I'm not going to curse on your show. It is not always true. That statement. That's why I laugh at that. I'm like, I thought that would be easier. I actually was deploying more than active duty.
It's harder. Yes,
it is harder and for longer. And so that's hard, right? That was rough on your family and your kids and all that good stuff. But, as I slowly exited out, because I was sort of trickling out, if you will. I would come across a lot of people with that same, what you just said right now, what you just mentioned, which is like, I got out and there was not really a whole lot waiting for me. It wasn't much better even as I trickled out. Like people, here's what I'll say, whether it's your reserve, guard, active duty, whatever, whether it's a cold turkey stop, like I'm out, or you're starting to bleed into the civilian sector while you're still hanging on.
Right.
Either way, our skills do not translate all the way over. And I think it's even more, let me take it a step further than that. The skills don't always transfer over, and the pay doesn't equal out because it's different out here. And you don't get things like BAH. You don't get, all those little extra perks that we don't really realize are perks until you're out,
until it's
gone.
Yes.
Until it's gone. But even still, it was like, I think the thing that disappointed me the most, to your point, everybody would not, that's really great. Oh, that's great. And I'm like, hold the applause and show me the money. Because what I would like is that I'm valued, and I can bring all those things that I've learned that I've actually gotten pretty good at. And when I say that, I mean, not everybody's equal. We all know that. We've all served with people who didn't pull weight, but the majority of people that I had the blessing to serve with did pull weight. And they were so just your bearing, your discipline, knowing someone could see something through. I feel like that's something that is disappearing at a time like this. Like people will say they're hungry and they're willing to do anything, but not really, not like to a point. And I feel like those of us who've come from a conditioning where it was like, there was no other resolve other than to get the job. There was no like, if this is too much, I'm gonna go ahead and tap out. I'm going to quit. Like, there was none of that. So you come wired different ways. So when you step onto a corporate platform with that, they appreciate it, but still don't fully understand it and aren't willing to pay for it. And that's because they'll get some other Yahoo right behind you that looks like they're ready to get hungry. They're okay churning and burning, I guess is my point.
Right.
There's no reward for loyalty.
There isn't. No, they don't care. They don't care. I think one of the things that I missed the most were the 30 days paid vacation. I remember my first, civilian job, and I sat down and they said, oh, this is great, blah, blah, blah. And you get 5 paid vacation days.
You were
and I just looked at her and she goes, isn't that great? And I was like, yeah, sure it is.
Shake your ear a little bit. You're like, I'm so sorry. I felt like I heard you
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Did you say 5? I'm sorry.
5, a quarter, 5. I was like, what are we talking about?
I'm like, whoa, you can't go anywhere. You can't really 5. Okay, fine, whatever. I think we have it backwards a little bit. But I was also looking at your bio, and you almost became an Olympian.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That was exciting. That was amazing. And it was such a weird time. I had just enlisted, in 2001, and, maybe a month later, September 11th happened. Right. And I was like, oh, like, what does this, because at the time when I enlisted, so we're real clear, we weren't at war.
Right.
I was like, so when that happened, they were like, hey, we're going to move some things around. And so my basic training date changed, my tech school date, they were trying to get me to switch my job, right? They're like, how about security forces? I'm like, how about no? How about no? No, that's not happening. So there was a little bit of chaos as a result of that. But the way it landed is, there was all this going on. I was sort of in a holding pattern. They're like, hey, they're going to process through security force people. You're going to get bumped a little bit. And it, as well as I do, when you make plans, like I'm going to be gone for a while and then all that gets shifted up. I'm talking like the kids, everything. I was like, this really, it just threw a big wrench.
It's a huge monkey wrench. Yes.
It was huge.
It's hard to overcome too.
So at that time, I had just gone on a trip to go visit my family in Greece. So I'm Greek, and I'm my mother's Mexican and Indian. My father's Greek, and so I'm this little half breed, right? So people always, I'm ethnically ambiguous, is what I'm told. No one really knows what I am, right? Are you Hawaiian? Are you Brazilian? Are you Mexican? I'm like, yep, that all sounds good. But I had just gone to visit my family. And I get back, and my cousin then calls me, and he's like, hey, did you know that they're recruiting, because Greece was the host nation for 2004 Olympics. So now we're into 2002. I haven't been to boot camp yet. And because everything's been pushed out, I'm on total holding pattern. And he goes, they're looking for women of Greek descent to lead in the team, because they don't have a lot. It's not like it is here in America, where there's a lot of funding for women in programs. And in Europe, like, it's still very old school. The biggest thing they were looking for people, right? And so I sent in my CV, and they called me, right? And they're like, tell us about, your experience. Tell us about what you're doing now. How fit are you? we're going through that stuff. And the biggest thing that I noticed was so hard for them to understand is that I played co-ed. The term co-ed was very foreign to them. They were like, co-ed, what does this mean? And I'm like, well, you play with men and women. And she's like, the men play with you. I'm like, yeah. She's like, on the field. I'm like, correct. And she's like, they actually will pass to you. I'm like, I feel like I'm using, I know my Greek's terrible right now. Your English probably isn't. Are we finding each other here? They could not believe that I played with males. And for me here, it was very normal for me. As a young girl, I grew up playing in school and then took it past that though. Even after I had my first baby, I came back in and I started playing these all female leagues. And then I started playing on these co-ed teams and your game just steps up.
Oh yeah. And
right?
what sport? I think it was soccer,
I'm
right?
so sorry for soccer. I'm so sorry. Yes, for soccer.
Okay.
So when I would play within all females, I'm not tooting my own horn. I was decent, right? I was pretty dominant. I'm one of the faster, stronger, more experienced, it just helps you when you play with mostly males. And I played in a very fast-paced game.
Absolutely.
Mostly 6-side in an arena where the ball moves very quickly. There's no stoppage time. I'm trying to chase down, 23-year-old dudes. I'm 40, right? I'm trying, well, at the time I was a little younger, I was in my 30s, but I'm like, I got this, right? And so it just conditioned me well enough. So when I got invited, I was very excited, right? They're like, okay, they had a good conversation with me. They're like, we'd like to invite you out. We're going to fly you out. I had to take all these sort of exams. They want to make sure what they're investing in, right? So I got to go see, a physician. They test to make sure nothing's hurt or, sprained. I got to jump off, a chair with one leg. I got to do all this weird stuff. I just felt ridiculous, right? But to make sure I wasn't hurt before they spend the money to fly me out there.
Absolutely.
And I went out and, I get the date. They're like, okay, we're going to send you out. I go, great. What do I get? 2 days later, my basic training date. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh no.
So, cause they're, this is 2002, but they're starting to recruit now so they can build and work with the team.
Yes.
And so I'm like, oh man, is this going to work? And so I'm starting to sweat, right? I go to my recruiter. I'm like, what can we do? I have a chance to go try out for the Olympics. And my basic training date, literally, as we looked it down, I was going to come back from basic training. Now you're supposed to forward straight to tech school right after your basic training, right? Okay. So there's all this chaos with all the changing around of everything. So I have my basic training date and I have this small window and my tryout for the Olympics lands right between in that window between me coming out from basic, which is less than 2 weeks, I would land. Less than 2 weeks, I would have to be in Athens. Then my tech school was another month after that. So I'm like, this could work, right? But I'm very nervous. Is there any way I could just, here's me, I don't know anything about the military. I'm like, can I just not do this now? He's like, no, you're going. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, you are government property.
You are government property. And I'm like, this stinks. So I'm so petrified that I'm going to go to basic training because then he goes, let me get real with you. Let me tell you what you really signed up for. He's like, it could take longer than the time. I'm like, why would it take longer? He's like, well, some things can happen in basic training. And I'm like, just stop there. What does that mean? You told me I'm going to be gone for 8 weeks on this thing. Like, what do you mean right now? And so he's like, there's this thing where you can have to start over or stay another week. And I just start freaking out, right? I'm like, time management is everything in my life.
Everything, right?
I'm so stressed. So the whole time I'm at basic, I am petrified that I am going to screw up or somebody else screw up, that it's going to make me stay there longer and I'm going to miss my window to go try out for the Olympics. So long story short, though, I make it through. I do have a little issues. I got a little bit of an injury while I was there that started to get very pronounced.
Right.
So I made the mistake, but I had to divulge to my instructors that I had something very important coming up. So I needed to go to the PX so I could get some wrap for my foot. And he was like, for what? I'm like, I'm so stupid, right? Because they use that stuff on you later. So dumb. I'm like, I have a chance to try out for the Olympics. They're like, really? They were very supportive, but then also used it on me every day or afterwards, right?
Come on, Olympian. Let's do this.
It was terrible.
How are you going to work up to the Olympics doing it like that? Let's go.
It's so weird. Like it's dark 30 out. I'm on the pad, right? I'm, busting my butt. And I have some instructor come deep from another pad, come up and be like, hey, I need to talk to you, and pull me out. And I'd be like, oh my gosh. Right. And they'd be like, is this true? Are you really going to the Olympics? I was like, Jesus. I don't know. I'm trying, right? I'm trying to get there. If you could not screw this up, make this harder for me, like maybe. So I get out, I'm tickled pink. I got less than 2 weeks. I'm in shape, but not soccer shape.
Right.
Because it's different. Right. But I'm lean and I just start working on my speed, but I was a mess. I was a hot mess, but I was so thankful to get out there, and it worked out really well. I went out, I had our first tryout. It was a very interesting time because I thought to myself, I'm going to be like one of the few, not full Greeks on this thing. Incorrect. They recruited a bunch of half breeds like me. There were all kinds of us there. There was Greek Argentinian, Greek, like there was all kinds of us coming out of the woodworks. And most of us were half breeds from the United States, who had the opportunity to play at higher levels.
Right.
And so we were bringing that skill, and it was sort of a weird mix. It was a little bit of animosity with the girls that were, actually full bred Greeks that were there. We're like,
I did not know that could happen.
Yeah. So there was a lot of that. And it was sort of a weird feeling because it was like, they knew they needed us, but they didn't necessarily like us. But it was a very, very interesting time. So I made the first cut, but there was a very harsh way. Boy, I'm telling you. So we have to go. I just want to quickly tell you this part, because I want people to imagine this. This was an opportunity of a lifetime. It was very, very poignant time in my life. So I'll slow it down for just a second because I think it's worth sharing. I'm trying to figure out how a girl who had her first baby at 17, who everybody wrote off, who ended up making six figures in her very early 20s, then having some sort of a event, I'll call in my life, that I go, is this what it's all about? Or is there something more? Decide I'm going to join the Air Force, then gets recruited in the Olympics. If you could just for a second think about that. Right?
That's a book, honey. That's a book.
It's something. I don't know. It's something. And I can remember thinking to myself, I'm getting on this plane, I'm going out there, and I'm like, how did I get here? How did this happen? And I was grateful, right? I had a lot of gratitude, but I was still like churning in my head. Am I worthy of such a opportunity? Like, are they wasting this seat? Is there somebody else who's been training their entire life for this moment that maybe is a better fit than me? Like you start sort of your own self-doubt and repeating things maybe that have been said to you, that you carry for some stupid reason. There's all this buildup, right? And I really wanted to go out there and leave it all out there, regardless, good, bad, or indifferent. I just wanted to go out there and give it all that I could. And I did. And it was very interesting because at that time, I think I'm 28-ish, right around there. And I remember like, it's real regimen. So I fit in real great. They were like, this is what time you get up. This is what time you eat. This is what time we rest. This is what time we do therapy. This is pool time. This is, this is what you're eating today. And I was like, I'm used to that. These girls are complaining. I'm like, man, this is great. Like,
you're like, this is cool. I love this.
Very strapped, very familiar. I'm very comfortable with what's going on here. But I loved it because I got to go there, and all that was just wonderful to me. It didn't bother me at all. And I was just focused on leaving it all out there. And I remember just busting it, and they're timing our runs, right? They're timing our 40s. And I have the third fastest time of over 60 girls. And she's like, okay, you're really fast. You're the oldest one here though. And they would tell it to me every day. You're the oldest one here. You're the oldest one here. And I was like, I got it. But I also have the third fastest time and more experience, and I'm whooping on these girls. Right. Yes. So I'm feeling real good. And I'm sitting on the bus. Like we land in Athens. We go to Phenom, which is where like all the ferries go out to all the islands. That's like the main area. So we all met at a hotel there. We're just waiting for everybody to get there. Once they collected us all, they threw us on the bus, and we took the bus up all the way through Greece, all through like Thessaloniki. I got to go drink water out of Mount Olympus. Like I'd never been that far. I usually just go to Athens where my family is, and that's like it. So I got to go through the whole countryside, all the way to the northern tip of Greece to Nichole, where there's a ski lodge. And that's where the men would usually train. They train for the elevation. So, I mean, I'm literally standing on the balcony of my hotel looking out, and it's like the most pristine field I've ever seen with this like ski lift going over it. I'm just in awe of where I am. And I'm like, girl, you better bring it while you are here. I am not going to be 50, 60 years old going, gosh, if only, you know what I mean? I just wanted to bring it. And I did. Right. And we leave, we round everybody up. I think they're going to like, I don't know, send an email or call some people and tell you, no, this coach, she is ruthless. And she is just going down the bus, sitting next to people, telling them if they made it or not. And literally I'm listening to her, the girl behind me. She's like, okay, we're going to cut you. You're very slow. We think it's your stomach. Thanks for coming out.
Wow.
Because her English was, I was sitting there like, oh, I remember looking and my seat was empty. I was like, Lord, please do not let this woman come down here and tell me some nonsense. I will flip out, right? She sits down. She's like, we're keeping you. That was it. So fast forward, I make 2 cuts. They bring me back. I make another one. And each time you come back, it's not a big pool where you're playing and whittling down. You recompete for your spot again. There's all new girls when we come back. There's the ones that they kept and more new ones. So you're constantly trying to get your place there. So who knows if I would have made it, the long story short of that is I made 2 cuts, did very well. I continued. I signed a document saying I would not compete because we were, for injuries and stuff, and they're investing us, but it was hard to go back out there and compete with girls that were sharp because they are competing. Does that make sense? Like there's working out in a gym, and then there's being on the field and competing that keeps you sharp. Yeah,
it's that
good.
Competitive edge. I played basketball in the military, not for the Air Force. I played while I was in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. And we used to train with guys. So when we played women, they would complain, oh, they're too rough and they're too this, And I used to play pickup games when I was at bases with the guys. Saturday morning, they have the pickup game. I'm like, I got next. And they look at me like, who is
it?
And to be honest, I cheated. I was up on their feet. I'd elbow them. What are they going to do? Say, "Ooh, foul." And they're like, "Oh, you got fouled by a girl, really?"
By a girl. That's my favorite. My favorite thing playing, and you cut somebody like butter, and you hear a whole silent go, "Oh!" And I was like, "That's right."
I know.
It was my favorite.
Let's change gears a little bit. You had an entrepreneur type of personality prior to going into the military. So when you got out, did you know that you were going to have your own business?
I think I always felt it, but I was on the fence, and I'll tell you why. I grew up in what I'll call a home of my parents were entrepreneurs, but in a different sense, because I think there's a different definition for everybody probably. But in my mind, if you are a business owner, you have something that can run whether you're there or not. In fact, the real definition, in my opinion, is that your business could continue to grow without you there. That would be a real business. And everything else outside of that is self-employed. So my parents were self-employed. So watching that as a kid growing up, there were some cool aspects that I liked about it. They were their own bosses. They were in charge. What they said went. But the downside was that everything was on their efforts. So even though so at one point we owned a restaurant, and my dad, I would hear him say the restaurant owned us, right? Like they were never free. It took up everything. It was a lot of work for them. They had a catering business, very similar thing. So if my dad got hurt or they had to take time off, then no money came in. And so growing up as a kid, we would have things and then not have things, right, and move in the middle of the night and then go, you know what I mean? Like in 6th grade, I had 5 schools. So I think growing up, I just would watch our things get sold and then we would have stuff. And I didn't like the instability of what it appeared to be for me to be a business, quote unquote, business owner. And so as a kid, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I want a corporate job. I see all my friends with their parents and they've got these titles, right? They're managers and directors and CEOs and all these other things. And they would get paid vacation and, sick time and benefits. And I was like, that's the route I'm going to go. Right. So in my mind, that's what I was going to do. I was not going to be an entrepreneur. However, when I got there, I saw a whole nother game, right? Which is like, let me tell you what you're worth. Let me tell you what you need to look like, how you need to talk, walk, blah, blah, blah. Right. And there I was like, for sure, y'all ain't paying me enough money for this. And so it was very frustrating for me. And then, like I explained, I was watching layoffs and I was, it was kind of, I don't even like to use the term climbing the corporate ladder because I don't know that that's necessarily what I was doing. I didn't have like an end game in mind. I just wanted to bust it. And I'm so competitive. I'm like, I just want to beat everybody at what they're trying to do. Like, right. I want to be better. I want to be the one who's Johnny on the spot. I want to be the one that they're like, give it to her. Like I'm that person. If you've ever read a book by Tim Grover called Relentless, he goes and breaks down different roles that people have in their lives. The sweeper, the cleaner, like the cooler, like if you get a chance, I highly recommend it. But for me, I'm the cleaner. I'm the person, I'm like, I'm your like when everything's hitting the fan, this girl is going to get it done. I developed that skill and that is what made me valuable in that arena.
You're the cleanup woman. That's what you do.
I'm the cleaner. I'm the one when it's got to get done and it's got to be good. And there can't be no error from, no margin for error, no nothing like that's you have to deliver. That's me. And so I developed that and that made me very in demand there and they paid well for it up to a point. right? Up until,
Right.
because it's still corporate. So for
Right.
me, while I was there, I was blessed enough to have a really good mentor. His name was Bart Bandy. And he was the first cat who was like, this isn't the game here. You work hard here, live lean. He's like, don't worry about what car you're driving. Don't worry about what it looks like you have. Stack your money. When you get a bonus, he talked me into stepping towards commission and letting go of salary. And I was petrified to do that.
Right.
But he was like, listen to me, you have more grit than most people do, and you're willing to do more. And when you have that, you will make more, you will do better. You don't want to be average. You don't want to just sit there and barely do what you need to do to get by. So separate yourself and put yourself on a different platform to give yourself the opportunity to succeed. Because if you're too scared to do it, then you stay in this confined area, then there is no chance. Here, there's a chance. He's like, there's no guarantee, but there's a chance and opportunity where you don't have that here. And I was like, why does he talk to me like this? Like, I just never met anybody like him. And he was so great. He was making a few $100,000 a year at the time, driving a brown Dodge Ram pickup truck that was still manual. In his nice suits, that's what he drove. He's like, I don't give a, I almost cursed. I don't give about what anybody thinks about what I'm driving. He was just stacking and he was investing it. He was investing it into businesses. And that's what he was trying to turn the light on with me for.
Right.
He was like, take what you make, put it into something else. This isn't the end game. It's the stepping stones to your end game.
Well, it's funny that you saw both sides of it. You saw the W-2 side and you saw the, being an entrepreneur side. Mm-hmm. And I only saw the W-2 side. So my entire family was a W-2. So my father was a retired Air Force. He retired on a Friday and went to go work for McDonnell Douglas, which is now called Boeing,
right,
that following Monday.
Man.
And so if there wasn't enough money, my father went out and got another job. That's what you did.
That's right.
And so I am the only one in my family right now who is not a W-2.
How does that go over?
Well, when I first told my family, because I was going to go into fitness, I was just tired. And I said, I've been doing fitness all these years. And my parents were like, "Ooh, what did your husband think about that?" And I said, "He's behind me 100%. So, and then they stopped. They're like, "Okay." And they left it alone. The W-2, you're right. It's like, you have to play their game and you have to let them win. Even though you might have this amazing idea, and even though they use your idea, someone else will get the credit for it.
Oh God, go there right now.
And so it's you have to make that choice. And I wanted something different. I didn't want to get caught up in that cogwheel, where they say, "Oh, it's been nice, but you got to go." So as an entrepreneur, we always talk about, making six figures and I'm doing this and blah, blah, blah. And which I think is wonderful. Okay. They're veterans. They talk about this, how successful they are. Tell our audience about a time when you were an entrepreneur and you had to seriously think, am I in the right field? Am I doing the right, that point where it's like, you have the choice between eating PB&Js and doing something essential for your business. Tell us about a time that happened to you.
A time or many times? That is, to your point, like there's a lot of that comes with the corporate environment. You sort of start to see it tests your moral compass. And when you test my moral compass, it will force me to carve out another path because I won't budge. Some people will. I am that. And many of us who come from where we come from won't budge because it's been ingrained into us, right? I will be broken, busted, and figure out another way before I'll compromise it. And so because of that, maybe I don't reach that level of success as quickly as somebody else might reach it, or at least appear to reach it. How about that? Because my definition of success has been completely redefined, especially over this last decade. But to your point on that, like I found myself in a position where I'm like, I'm not going to do the corporate thing anymore. They had gotten bought out. They didn't let me go. They didn't lay me off, but they kept me as a consultant, right? I was the one who was like, this isn't going to work for me. I don't want to relocate with my kids. If you still need all the information that's in my head, let's figure something out. And that was my first sort of step into real entrepreneurship because I became a consultant. And I negotiated with the help of my mentor. I negotiated a very generous severance that I then took and put into a business. And what I was looking for, what I was searching for was the in-between. I was looking for a business that I could build that eventually it could run without me, but still be in charge because I am so tired of somebody telling me what, I was used to it in the military, but when it happens to you in a corporate environment, it's it wears on you a little differently, right?
Yes,
like
it does.
It sure does. Because I'm like, I signed this, I said yes to this, I get it. And I was still grateful for it. I really, everything that I learned in the military, even all the bad stuff that happened, there was a lot of that too.
Yes.
It develops so many different things in you: appreciation, gratitude, a perspective, in a weird insight almost too. You could start to see patterns of people. You see that stuff and it served me so well. It continues to serve me in my business now.
Oh yeah.
But even when I did that, I just still made all kinds of mistakes and not horribly terrible, just like timing of the economy. I took that money, I bought into that store. Well, 2008 came in and wiped out I bought a clothing store, and a business partner and I went into business. We're like, this is easy. You buy stuff and you resell it. How hard is this? Let me pay someone else who knows how to do this.
Sounds good in concept.
Sounds
right?
good. For the first 8 months, to be real, we were about 40% over ROI. I was like, this is easy. Why doesn't everybody do this? Let me tell you why. Because there's all these outside factors, all these other variables that you just don't have any control over that can just break you. And that's exactly what happened to us. The economy just shifted. Everybody was losing their jobs, their houses, their cars. They weren't coming in and buying $200 jeans no more. And little shops around you fold up. And then nobody wants to come downtown for a store and you're the only store. I had to watch that ship sink slowly, and it was just painful.
It is.
And at the time it was doing that, I was thinking to myself, now I got to reinvent. Like, what am I going to do? My consulting now, because again, the economy got cut and my store's failing. So these two streams of income that I had coming in, for a second, I got to tell you, Kat, for a second, I was like, look at me. Like, I got some things figured out, right? I had, 6 figures in my retirement account from all that time that I was busting my butt. I had gotten 6 figures that I then put into this business. I paid cash for a Yukon Denali because that seemed like a good idea at the time. Just once I wanted to walk on a lot.
I know. Just be like, how are you going to pay for this? Cash.
I'm like, I'm going to pay with a check. And here's how much I'm going to give you for it. And they were like, no. And I'm like, no. And I'm not done. I want the tires done. I want you to murder this thing out. And then I'll be back in 2 days for it. And this is the check. This is the number I'm going to write. And they were like, no. And I'm like, or I'm going to go up the street and I'm going to get a Tahoe that looks just like it.
Right.
And they were like, we got it. Right? So at that moment, I was feeling something that was not real. Isn't God wonderful? God is so good. He's like, oh, you've been confused and you started, let me help you.
Right. I hate that. I hate when that happens.
Let me gently remind you where you need to be putting your priorities at. So as he gently adjusted me, I lost my store, lost everything that I had pretty much in the markets. My 401k got cut in half. My parents lost their business. They literally, when I tell you, Kat, they were out on the street. I'm not exaggerating. I had to take what was left of what I had and get them out of the street. And I just stood there in the street going, how did I end up here? And I obviously went left somewhere where I was supposed to go right. And I don't know how I got here, but I'm gonna get it figured out. I mean, I'm watching my mom put her stuff in the back of that stupid car that I paid cash for, feeling like the smallest person, the smallest human on the planet, going, this is never happening to our family again. I'm gonna figure this out, but it's never happening again. And that's how I stumbled into my next entrepreneurial venture, because I had found myself going, I thought I picked something easy. It was a freaking store. It didn't seem like it was gonna be that hard, but like I picked something that was so susceptible to a shift in the economy. That's what I wasn't looking out for. So as you regroup yourself, you gather, you have to, you've got kids, you've got people, you got mouths you got to feed, right? So yes. I regroup and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have got to find something that even if the economy shifts, it's still in demand and it's still needed.
Right.
And that's how I landed on finance. I stood there and I was like, number one, I wanted to figure out where I made all these mistakes. I want to know why I didn't understand and I was guilty of it. This is my fault. Some real accountability right here. But
sure.
When I got my 401k started, right, they put some dude in front of me who was like, hey, you're aggressive. You're this, you check this box. I was like, yeah, that's me. Right. Like, I'm aggressive. Bam, checked it. He's like, oh, you need to put as much as you can because you make too much and you need it I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. Right. I was putting as much as I possibly could. And I just didn't do anything else again. And there are so many people, money is coming out of their checks, going into something that they have no real idea if it's going to be there for them, how much it costs them, if there's something better. Like they got no clue, and everyone just nodding and smiling, right? And I was in that group. And so when I lost it, and I was calling, looking for the guy who manages. He got paid every time money got taken out of my check.
Yes.
So I was like, where is this sucker? And they're like,
She's like,
he's not.
He's not with us anymore.
And I was like, I freaking bet. I was so mad because it had gone from 6 figures to half in like a couple months. Wow. And I was so angry. I'm like, why didn't this guy call me? Why? And they were like, she was so nice. She's like, I'm so sorry, but your account, the amount that you had in there, in my mind, I had a lot of money. So we're real clear. It was like 140 something thousand, right? In my mind, that was a ton of money.
Right.
Most for a girl born in Inglewood, that was the most money.
That's a lot. Yes.
Had, right?
That's a lot of money to me. I'm sorry.
So for this woman to be like, your account is not, that would be active management. And I was like, where is this man?
I need to find him now.
I wanted to find him, right? She was like, I'm not giving you that. Like, it's gone. So it just was such an eye opener. I was like, I did what they said. I came in and I worked hard. I put a bunch of money away. They told me what I should be doing with it. I trusted in that. I trusted the company vetted it. Really, they needed to follow me. I didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't understand what a share class was. I didn't know what they were charging me to put money in, to keep it in. I didn't understand the tax impact. Like, these were basic things that we don't get taught in school. And my parents certainly weren't capable of teaching me because they had their own struggles. And so of course I'm destined to repeat that. I have no understanding of it whatsoever. So for a minute, I got, disillusioned that I was someplace I wasn't. I was like, 6 figures in my retirement. I just got this severance. I'm going to buy this car. I got this bit. I got 2 streams of income, made it.
Yeah.
Thought I made it someplace. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it felt like I just kept getting knocked down. And I stood there from having that to how am I putting gas in the car?
Yeah.
I had to figure out, I was taking care of my parents and I don't know how I was doing it. And do you ever have those times in your life where something's like traumatic? It's really hard to get through. It's a blur. Like, you really do try to go back and remember things, but you can't. It's almost like your mind blocks it because it was so hard and painful.
Because you had to get through it. If you thought about it, you're like, why am I doing this? I think it's important for, women to understand, and especially like all women, especially veterans, we're so, it's like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? The mission, complete that. What's the next mission? Complete that. And then something happens in our lives and we get through it, but we never look back and say, oh my gosh, that was really hard right there. But I made it through. You know what I mean? And I think the other point to make is that even as an entrepreneur, and I don't care what avenue you go as being an entrepreneur, you're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. I knew I was an entrepreneur. I did everything from selling essential oils to makeup to all of that, but it wasn't my thing. I mean, I still, some of this stuff I still use, but it wasn't, I didn't want to, if I have to convince you that this is the best thing ever, then no, that's not my deal.
Right.
But you're going to make mistakes and it's okay because that's how you learn. I don't know anybody who comes out, they all of a sudden they're a parent and they know exactly what to do from day one all the way through college and boom. No, you learn as you go. You learn from other people and you never. And one of the things that I love is that if I stop learning, I stop growing. And I think it's just important to remember that. But I wanted to ask you, for those moms that might be working, but it's not their thing. It's not their jam. They're in that corporate cogwheel thing. Okay. What words of advice would you give to someone who wants to do something else, but they're just not sure how to start? What kind of words of wisdom would you give them? So
I'm gonna go back just a couple steps to something that you just said, because it's going to connect to this. So stay with me on it. On the point of you making, like, you've got to get a little messy, like you're going to make mistakes. I'm a very logic-based female. I feel like most of us are. We will make some emotional decisions. Lord, we will make some emotional decisions.
Yes, we will.
But we're very logic-based. We need data. We need to be able to back it up, right? Before we go left or right, our plan has a plan, and then that plan has a contingency plan, right? Like, we run things in our mind all the time. Males, they're like, oh, we'll just figure it out. We'll get there. We're like, what?
No.
It's like, we don't operate that way. The other part that starts to happen, though, is we want it to be perfect. And if it doesn't go according to the plan, we start, we get a little rough on ourselves. What I want to tell women right now is, like, it's going to be messy in the best way possible, because part of that journey is going to create the things that you need to become successful and get to your next level. So if you are logic based the way I am, I want you to work into that logic. That part of your process is to make errors, because that's how you find out what you're good at, what you need to work on. Because when I find a strength, I triple down on it. Okay. So if I'm good at something, I'm going to triple down on that. I'm going to get proficient in these other areas. And then depending on which direction you're trying to figure out, do you want to be self-employed? Because some people, it's not their jam to be a business owner.
Right.
They like the flexibility, and maybe it's not as necessary for them to be the main breadwinner. They want to operate in on their terms, which I'm still down for, because I think as women, it is hard for us to go, am I going to be full force in my career? If I've got 3 babies, this is hard, right? Because corporate makes me make these decisions. I don't actually get to have even opportunity because I'm a woman, right? Because I'm a mother. And I do these women's events where I'm teaching women about finance. I'm teaching about their 401ks and taxes and all that riveting adult stuff that nobody showed us, but things that we need to, so we can feed ourselves and our children and have good quality of life, which should be taught in our schools, which is why I take my silly behind into 3 high schools and 3 colleges right now, so I can get to them sooner. Education just should not be so complicated.
It should be part of school.
It should be.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it should be a part of school.
It should be, and it's not. And I'll tell you, even some of these schools that I get in, and these other teachers, they like us and they connect me with other teachers. And some of these schools just straight won't let you in. I've literally had someone go, well, I'm just trying to figure out your angle. I'm like, what could my angle be to talk to 17-year-olds about student loans and debt and what's about to really happen to them? And so the biggest demographic that comes into my office not prepared are women.
Yes.
Because we have to go this or this. And we try to find this. I hear that word balance. Let me tell you right now, there is no such thing.
There's no such thing. You're always trying to achieve balance. There's no such thing as being
There's no
balance.
such thing. What I figured out is there's flexibility.
Yes.
What I'm chasing is freedom.
Yes.
If that makes sense, right?
No, it does. Totally.
I want the flexibility that if my kid's really sick 3 days in a row, I ain't trying to explain to somebody why I need to stay with him, why I need to stay with him. That does not mean I'm not serious about my career. That does not mean I could not perform. It means I need to take care of my priorities, which is my child.
And you shouldn't have to justify it.
You shouldn't, but in a corporate environment, you sure do.
You do.
And that was one of the things that I was like, I know I can't fit in that environment, because here's what I figured out. You are going to pay me, roughly 80 cents to the dollar of what the male counterpart's going to do for me. I'm going to have to work that much harder. There's all the other little things that come with being female, but I'm going to just step those aside and not beat a dead horse. There's the fact that I'm not going to make as much. There's the fact that I'm going to take more breaks because I have the babies. I'm the one who nurses the babies. I'm the one, when the baby's sick, I got to take them to the doctor. Like, that's me. That's my role. In fact, if anybody's sick in my family,
yes,
that is me. That is our role. We step away, and that's less money, less opportunity. It takes away things. It's not even, you can't even quantify how it impacts your ability and your opportunities in that environment. You just know there's something missing, right? You feel it. And so not only that, now I'm going to save less as a result of that. I'm going to put less into Social Security. I'm saving less in my retirement accounts. And then let's just put the cherry on top. I'm going to outlive my male counterpart. So I think this whole thing is a little ass backwards, right?
Right.
This is why when I talk to women, I'm like, you are going to have to carve it out for yourself. And what your idea of success is will be different than maybe what yours is, Kat, or what mine is. But whatever yours is, I want to invite you to embrace that and chase it and fight for it, and to stretch your vision a little bit farther. Because what I've been able to find out is, as I stepped out of that corporate environment, I like the idea that I am going to mess it up. I'm okay with doing that. I learned that in the military. When you got to learn new stuff.
Yes.
Go first. There's no expectations.
Right. I know.
Go first and mess it up. And they're going to yell at you and tell you how terrible it was. But there was no expectations. And now you got it out of the way and you learned from it. And then you'll watch and learn more. Right. And so I'm like, I'm going to mess it up. I want to mess it up because I want to know as soon as possible if I'm on track. So if I went left and I messed, I'm a course correct that right away. Let me go.
Absolutely.
I want to make
the longer you go messing it up, the harder it is to backtrack.
You can't
and
recover.
Correct it. Right.
I want to course correct as I'm going, not wait till I get there and then someone go, well, you've been on the wrong road for about 2 years, girl. Just turn it back around. I want to do it, and I want to be messy with it at the time, and I'm okay. And because I understand that logically as part of the process, it's not a negative thing to me when I make an error. It's part of what gets me closer to my win. Right. So when I adopted that, now what I've really done, if we're gonna go all the way to the back, Kat, check your ego.
Yes.
Right. That saying is your ego is not your amigo. And that is what we get caught up in. We're like, I'm handling this. I'm doing all the cooking. I'm clean. I'm taking care of the kids, this and that, blah, blah. And you start getting yourself on a little victim pedestal,
Yeah.
whether you realize it or not. When really what you need to do is like, let me look this thing square in the eye. I was supposed to make a hard decision here and I wasn't comfortable doing it. And I tried to bypass it and it came and bit me later.
Right.
It's making the hard decisions in the moment, even though you don't feel like doing it, and being okay with the fact that it's not the correct answer at the time, because here's what it is going to do. It's going to teach you, it's going to course correct you, and you are going to get closer. It's a lot of those little things. But for women, especially, I'm like, it's going to be hard either road you try to take.
Yes.
So I want you to pick your hard. I want you to either pick the hard that is, I know what every day looks like. This is all I can ever make. This is all I'm ever going to be able to be. It's unfulfilling. It's not rewarding. It's not a contribution, but it's predictable. I know what it looks like.
And be okay with it in that moment.
Because if it's familiar,
yes,
you feel like it's all right. Now, that might be your jam and you're okay with that. That happens to not be my jam. I would rather pick the other hard. It's not as predictable, but I also I have opportunity and I have hope. I have a chance to make more money. I have a chance to do it my way and not have to be told what my moral compass should be. Right. Like all those things. Nobody tells me who, nobody tells me how, but I'm gonna be fighting like nobody's business. I can't go on autopilot on this path. This path I can go on autopilot.
Right.
This path I cannot. But here's where the most reward is going to be when I have my wins. Here, I can't make the money that I can make here, but also here, if I hiccup or have a mental breakdown or whatever, right? All the stuff that we go through, you know, as we're getting through this life, it could take me out and I don't have an autopilot where I have a check coming in, whether I did a good job or not.
Right.
So they're both hard.
They're
both hard, but you need to be a grown woman and go, let me pick my hard. And what example do I want to set? Not only for, you know, my colleagues and myself, but like my children that I know, those little eyes are watching.
Yes, they are
watching, and you are teaching them. And they're picking up more than you think.
More than you think. They're smart. They're smart little cookies, man. Number one, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to do it, if it's in your heart, if it's in your gut, find out more about it. And then, you know, just get more information and then make that decision. You know, I think too, is when you have to make a hard decision. And what I do is I go with my gut. So, you know, if someone's not holding a gun to my head and I have time to make this decision, I let it go because my gut's going to go, you know what? You should go in this direction. And every time I listen to my gut, I've been right. Every time. One last question. How do you, Nichole, take care of you, Nichole, when things are just swirling and you're like, I need to step out of this mess because mama needs a minute or 40, you know, what does that look like for you? What kind of things do you do to take care of you?
Well, it's certainly changed and evolved over the decades. The 20-year-old version of me would have had a totally different response. The 45-year-old version of me now is like, girl, I'm doing it right now.
Can I just have a nap? I just want a nap.
You know, I was so, when I know I want to win and I want to succeed and I want to compete, I want to be this like machine. Like you can always count on me. I have no days off. I'm positive all the time. I don't let anybody get to me, when we all know that's BS and it weighs on you. What you do is you pack it, right? Let me pack this one on. And then you don't break down that day. It's 2 weeks later after you've been stacking all those packs that you come in the house and it's like, you're out of paper towels and you're like, I was just at the store. And then the meltdown.
And then it goes. And
everybody's like, are you really tripping on
over paper towels?
No, I'm not. You get what I'm saying? And you're like, that's where they're like, she's crazy. And I'm like, am I crazy? Or like, it's all this stuff that I've been carrying because I haven't done a good job looking after me and taking care of myself. So for sure, over the years, I've gotten better. And here's what I've sort of landed on from where I'm at now. Sleep is important. Make sure that you take care of yourself. Quiet time. I mean, no phone, and sometimes the music will still be okay because music, I don't know, for some people, I have certain things that will trigger me into a state and remind me of a certain time. So I do use music quite a bit. I still am very physical, right? I don't compete anymore because of my injury, but I train like I am because it helps put me in another state. But I take that time. Whereas before I was like, no days off. I grind through it. Like I have a lot of part-time agents And so they work a regular job. So they're only part-time with me. I know they have this day off. And so I create an environment for them to be able to jump on and be able to go, okay, what can I get that's going to help me? Because for many of them, they don't want to be part-time with me and full-time in the job that they can't stand. They want to be full-time with me. But in my business, it takes a little while, right? And so you got to be, decent, then you get good, then you get really good at what we do. And then it makes sense for people to transition over. And so I start a lot of my agents part-time. So I want to create that environment. So yeah, it's my Monday. I should be, well, what am I going to be doing? Nope. I'm going to be there for my people because that's what I do is I lead, right? Yeah. I want to show them by example. So I think for me, part of what I've figured out over the years is that I do want to separate myself from the herd, and I will step up at times where people are normally slacking off. When they're going to sleep, I'm getting to work. That's one of my secrets. But this is what the greatest part about becoming an entrepreneur is that because of that flexibility. I was off all day yesterday with my kids, and I will be here this morning having coffee and doing some stuff. I take those days when people have to be in their offices and have to be in their cubicle. That's when I go to the grocery store. That's when I take my kids to an amusement park or go to the beach or go whatever. I go during those down times, and then I will capitalize on the times when everybody's going to sleep to use that to gain and jump ahead. So Saturdays are very valuable to me. I love, Monday morning. That's my favorite days. I'm like, let's get after this week, right? Everyone kind of pokes fun that I'm always full of energy. And I'm like, I just know what I know. And I've been doing this long enough now that I know when I can make my gains, but I also recognize when I have to be there for myself, for my kid, part of my, I'll say healing. Yeah, that word came naturally. So I'll use that, is my children and time with them. Because as we all know, it's goes gone by in a blink.
Yeah. But you're showing up at a time that feels good. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, yeah, I'm not doing this today. It's like you've got this schedule that works for you. I'm like that on Mondays too. Mondays are my editing days for my podcast, and I'm here and I'm ready to go, but the other thing that I do is Sundays are a total downtime for me.
Same.
I don't do anything.
No, don't at me on Sunday.
No. One of my favorite things to do is on Sunday is to put on some movie that I have seen so many times. I could quote the conversation. Okay. I can quote the dialogue. So if I fall asleep and I wake up and I'll say, oh yeah, I remember this part. And then I go back to sleep, So.
You are onto something there. I rewatch the things that I've already watched.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make me think and I don't have to be engaged.
Thank you. I love that. See, I'm awesome. I told you she was awesome.
What ends up happening is we just give so much. We give and give and give and give. We give to our families. We give to our bosses. We give to our friends. We give to everyone. And you pop your head up and you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, and you're like, shoot, I thought I was going to get more done. I thought there was more of this that I was
time. Yeah, more time.
You go through a couple, life events, a divorce, and you just like, at the very least, we need to come together and support each other. Right. And help with real information and real guidance, and not the harder part about social media is you just can't tell what's what and who's valid.
Right.
And it looks, but
it looks pretty on the outside, and then you realize there's nothing on the inside.
There's nothing, and it's
nothing
BS.
Of value. Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I will tell you good, bad, and indifferent what your situation is. I will teach you. And then I want you to be able to have this information. So you, as a grown man or woman, can make a decision, on an informed decision, instead of guessing on what you want to do. Nothing is more important than my family. And so I need to make sure that I am not in financial danger, and my family is not in financial danger, because what it does is it paints you in a corner, and then you have to make short-term decisions to get through a situation, but they have a long-term impact. Right. And so that's sort of my jam with people, is I'm like, in finance in general, people try to act like there's these gurus, and it's all nonsense.
Right.
It's you understanding a handful of rules and looking the things that you need to look at square in the eye, going, okay, what am I going to do about this? Right. And that's what I'm really good at helping people do, is go, okay, let go of the emotional stuff. I need you to look at this and go, what do I want to do to make sure I can eat food when I'm older? I do not want to burden my children. No, I want to have a good quality of life now. Do I want to save for college for them? What am I doing for myself? Like, what if something happens? What if I got sick? And if we're not educated, which we're not in the school system, that means you have to venture out and doing your own. This is not that scary. Let's take a look at this thing. So I hope that people, when they're listening to this, if they need help, that they reach out to me. I would love to help them. It doesn't cost them anything to sit down with a professional and go, okay, let me assess where you are.
To end, I'm just going to say, when you know better, you do better. Nichole, it's been such a pleasure having you on Sisters in Service. I feel like we could just keep talking and talking and talking. And I so appreciate your time for you coming on and being a part of this and educating. You know, we've had some laughs, but we've also given out some nuggets of information for people. And as always, please be safe, take care of each other, and until next time.